I don't think I have ever been more excited about sitting down with anybody on earth for 1 hour than I am about the guest that you're about to see today. This guy has walked amongst legends in the NBA for 4 decades. This is better than bringing an NBA player on the Cajun Cardboard YouTube channel. I got a chance to sit down with a gentleman named Nathaniel Butler, who is the foremost NBA photographer. He's been anywhere, everywhere, and if you ask him if he was there, the answer is almost always yes. If you don't believe me, sit down, give me about 70 minutes of your time because I get some great stories. We talk about Jordan. We talk about his first time that he met Kobe Bryant. We talk about Magic Johnson's junior skyhook to win Game 4 of the 1987 Finals. We talk about LeBron. We talk about the toughest guys in the NBA. And we talk about what life is like as an NBA photographer. You're talking about 100 games a year for 4 decades running. He's like the Cal Ripken of NBA photographers. This man is flat out amazing and just an absolute all-around, down-to-earth, flat-out great dude. You're going to love this interview. I promise you, it literally is maybe the most nervous I've ever been. Not because he makes me nervous. It's because I have 10 hours of questions I want to ask him, and I've got to condense it into about 60 minutes. So sit back, relax, enjoy today's video, and I appreciate you guys watching. All right, guys, Bryant with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana, and it is my pleasure to take a detour today, and we will touch a little bit on cards, but I've got a special guest with me today, Nathaniel Butler, Nat Butler. Welcome to the channel, Nat. How are you today?
No, all is good. Thank you for having me, Brian. Appreciate that.
Have you ever used ChatGPT? We're old, right? We're old by most standards. Have you ever messed with it at all?
You know what? My son was showing me some things. I have not done it myself.
Okay.
But he was showing me some things, and we're in a crazy new era. That is for sure.
It's going too fast for me, for sure. But what I did is I let ChatGPT tell me who Nathaniel Butler is. So I'm going to read it real quick. And that way,
that's so
everybody
funny.
everybody that's watching, you're going to hear it for the first time. And the people that are watching will be like, who the heck is this guy? Who did he play for? Like, what is his collection like? No, we're going to get to the bottom of it. But this is what ChatGPT says about my guest, Nat Butler. Nathaniel S. Butler is a legendary NBA photographer who has been capturing the league's most iconic moments for over 4 decades, 40 years. Working as the official photographer for the NBA since the early 1980s, Butler has documented countless historic games, championship celebrations, and career-defining plays from Michael Jordan's game winners, and there were a lot, to LeBron James' finals triumphs. There's a lot, but not as many. His images have appeared in magazines, on trading cards. The bells just went off, on trading cards, and across NBA promotional materials, shaping how fans around the world visually remember the sport's greatest eras. Butler's work is important because it not only preserves basketball history, but also helps define its visual culture, ensuring the future generations can experience the emotion, drama, and artistry of the game through his lens. Does all that sound true?
Some robot bot somewhere did a pretty good job.
It's pretty impressive, Nat. Am I
what?
wrong?
It's impressive. It's on one hand, it's impressive. On the other hand, a little scary. They might know too much about me.
I know. It's a blessing and a curse, and it's a slippery slope, and I'm scared to death of it, but it's coming whether we like it or not. And that lays the foundation for who you are and why I am absolutely so excited to have you on the channel. I'll be quite honest with you. Like I was telling you before we got on here, I've interviewed NBA guys. I've talked to the biggest and the baddest, card collectors in the world. I've talked to 100 millionaires. I am more nervous to talk to you, not because you make me nervous. I'm nervous that I've got an hour and I've got like literally 50 hours worth of questions I would love to ask you, but I'm going to jam it into an hour. So I hope I choose wisely.
There we go. We'll come back for a part 2 if we have to.
If we have to. Okay. I'll compensate you if we have to do a part 2. How about that? Because I know you're about to get very busy. The first question I was going to ask you is, we've laid the foundation. We know what you did 40 years. My first question was going to be, are you retired or are you active? But I know the answer. It sounds like you're about to go back to work in a few weeks.
Yeah, it's like I'm still, I still love it. Thankfully, physically, I'm still able to do it. It's not an easy job physically. What we do, schlepping gear in and out of arenas, in through airports all the time. But yeah, we're taping this now in August. It's like I have another 2 weeks before I start getting busy. The Hall of Fame induction in September, like right after Labor Day, kind of kicks off things. We go right from that into preseason. There's some international global games trips with Knicks and Nets that I'm doing this year. So it goes from 0 to 100 very quickly.
Look, before I say something I shouldn't, you're a Knicks fan, right?
I grew up a Knicks fan. I'm a Knicks fan.
I'll just keep it to myself then. I won't even bring up. You'll bring up the Starks dunk if I bring something up. So it's better off if we just don't bring it up. You know what I mean?
There we go.
Okay. I'm going to go through a list, and I'm going to say you're going to answer yes or no. It's a one-word answer. I'm just going to say these are things, and I'm just saying, were you there? Okay.
Right.
And this is why I'm so jealous, and this is why I'm in awe. Magic Johnson's junior hook in Game 4 of the '87 Finals.
Yes.
Spud Webb dunk contest.
Yes.
The NBA 50th top 50 players ceremony.
Yes.
NBA 75th top 75 ceremony.
Yes.
Ray Allen's buzzer beater Game 3.
Yes.
Every one of MJ's NBA finals.
Yes.
The Dirk Mavs title, which to this day I say is the most heavily weighted NBA title ring of all time, and I'd love to get back to you on that after the fact. Dirk's Mavs title run.
Yes.
The Kobe Shaq Lakers three-peat.
Yes.
The time MJ met Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
You were in the NBA COVID bubble as well.
Yes.
That is a preposterous list of who's who and where's where and what was happening. And that right there, I mean, again, I could have gone 40 deep, but it would have been a very boring video. I just want to lay the foundation. You know your stuff. You've seen your stuff. You're a basketball aficionado, just like I am, just like a lot of the viewers are. I just want to make sure everybody understands exactly who it is we're talking to. So you speak from a position of authority. You've seen stuff firsthand that we've read about and or watched videos of, or maybe watched live, but you've watched it live from 4 or 5 feet away.
Right.
That's fascinating to me. Let's start by talking about photography. That's your passion. Tell me how you started in photography. Tell the world, give us a photography 101 circa 1985-ish when you started. Talk us through that, start to finish, like photography specific.
You know what? I photography was always a little bit of a passion of mine. I played sports. I saved up money. I was probably, maybe I was young. I used to love Sports Illustrated magazine. Like people of my generation, I'm 60. I'd run to the mailbox every week and devour Sports Illustrated. It came every Thursday. I'd look at the pictures. They had a crazy writing staff at the time. I would devour the pictures. Wow, this is cool. That's so cool. Saved up money at a very young age, 13 or something. I bought a camera. And I would shoot. I grew up in a small town, but I would shoot like surfers and fishermen and boats and sunsets and things, and it just, I loved sports. Basketball was my favorite sport. It got to a point where I wasn't good enough. I played in high school, went to the next level at college. I went to St. John's University, and in the 80s, it was St. John's, Georgetown, 1 and 2, Chris Mullin, Patrick Ewing, blah, blah, blah. So, and I started shooting more seriously then. I was friends with the guys. I was nowhere near good enough to play on the team, just hanging out in the gym, shooting practices, shooting games, and things sort of took a path from there.
Yeah. It's fascinating. I want to talk a lot about how it's changed from when you started to how it turned out. How much you think your camera weighed? You probably know exactly. How much you think your camera weighed? When was your first year? 85, 84?
My first year of shooting at the NBA was 84.
84. Okay. It's kind of an important year.
You know what? It was those were different. I was using Nikon then. I couldn't afford a big fancy camera. It was nothing special, to be honest. It was what was available, what I could afford.
Yeah.
I had one camera, one lens,
Who was your first employer? Did the NBA
Um,
employ you? I
you know
assume
what?
you were like,
I worked at when I was in school because St. John's was in New York.
yeah,
I worked as an assistant to Sports Illustrated, some of their legendary photographers,
yeah,
and I learned so much from them during that time period. And then would just kind of kicking around. You'd see the same people at different games and making connections and things.
yeah.
And I started working for the NBA in 1984 after a little after a little like school internship kind of thing. And it's been a lot of good timing, to be
Uh,
quite honest.
do you know how ridiculous it is that you work for the same employer for 40 years? That is like insanely
Uh,
rare in modern society.
it is, right?
Yeah.
But it's been fun. And you know what, when you're 19 years old, you don't plan on doing, you know,
Oh,
doing, and we all, like you say, oh, time goes by fast, but things have changed so
yeah.
much and evolved. There's different paths, people often say, do you get tired of just shooting basketball? I used to shoot a lot of other things. I love tennis, I loved football, I loved
Yeah.
pretty much all the sports. But basketball has become such a full time, like we said earlier, start in September, go 5, 6, 7 days a week through June.
Yeah.
If it's an Olympic year, then you do that. Used to do a lot of W stuff. I don't do as much anymore because that's in the summer. It's pretty much my only free time.
Yeah.
But the NBA, has exploded.
How many? I mean, I'm just thinking, how people think NBA players travel a lot. Well, I know NBA referees really travel a lot.
Right.
And now I'm thinking of Nat Butler. What is your travel schedule like? How do you get from place to place? Is it always a plane? Is it sometimes a car? Like,
You know what? It's a great
NBA?
question. Great question. And it has changed over the years. When I first started, it was pretty much myself in the New York metropolitan area. I would do Knicks. It was New Jersey Nets at that time. I
Yep.
would drive to Philly, drive to Boston. There was a counterpart in LA. I'm sure people are familiar with Andy Bernstein. He was doing the Lakers and the Clippers. It was essentially just the two of us,
Okay.
at the beginning. And that has changed over the years. Pretty much every NBA team now has an NBA representative photographer.
Gotcha.
So the travel is not as much as it used to be,
Yeah.
and that's a good thing because you do get kind of worn out. So for some of the bigger games now, NBA will send in a second shooter or something for a quote unquote big matchup game.
Yeah.
But typically for a quote unquote normal game in February, I'm not going to go to Minnesota or something, because they have a local guy who's very talented there as well.
When you're at a game, like let's go, we're still in the 80s here, and this may have changed, or maybe it didn't change. Are you moving around from place to place? I mean, I'm assuming you want different angles, different ends of the court, depending on which teams has
Right.
possession.
It's a great question because it has changed. There were times at the beginning, like I said, I'm in New York at the Garden, and then in New Jersey at the time for the Net, and I would be tasked with. At that time, it was like creating stock almost. You weren't covering the game from a news standpoint.
Yeah.
So if there was someone on a visiting team, I'd shoot one half. Typically, you like the guys coming at you on offense.
Sure.
I would pick up and move and go to the other end and generate a lot of material because of the offensive situation. And that changed over time. The baselines got tighter. There's more and more news outlets available. So that probably changed like late 80s, that you were kind of assigned one spot, and then you got offense one half, defense the other, or both teams on that kind of thing. So there's been a lot of changes in those terms.
I think I speak for most observers when we see how close you guys are to the court, right? Especially in finals games where they're packed in like sardines, and bigger playoff games. And I just get worried, because I've played basketball. I mean, players fall, and they fall 12, 15 feet off the court sometimes, depending on who hits them or what they trip on, or
Right.
how many people collide, or if it's, an uncontested layup and somebody comes from behind. You got any stories about just getting absolutely mauled, by these gigantic specimens? Like I'm 6'4", 200. I'm
Right.
Steph Curry in the NBA. You know what I mean? But people see me on the street, they're like, "That's a big guy." But these guys are behemoths. I got a chance to
No,
play
it's huge. There are very strict protocols that the average person's not aware of now and it's all about the player safety with distances, certain equipment we can't have. We sit down with. They don't want metal chairs, and there's a very specific safety protocol. But back in the day, I did get run over a couple times, and oftentimes it was because of a tussle or something. It wasn't like, and I'll never forget, you'd have to be a hardcore fan, but if people remember, Lonnie Shelton
yes.
fell on me, and he was probably 6'8", about 285.
Yeah.
He got into a little skirmish.
Enforcer type, if I
there was an
recall, like a
Oakley
big bruiser. Yeah.
Yep. There was a Charles Oakley X-Men little tussle that I was in the
remember it.
bottom of a pile. And thankfully, for a lot of reasons, that doesn't happen too frequently anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of even for the TV cameras and other people, anyone along the baseline, there's a lot of safety procedures that go into play.
Nat, you're on the sidelines. You're 5 feet away. You're sometimes closer than that, probably. This is the first detour of many that I'm about to take, but you made me think of something. Like on this channel, a good friend of mine, another basketball lifer who's been a lifetime coach for 40 years. We did a video, and it was from our, just from our perspective as basketball fans, who are the toughest guys in the history of the NBA. Now you're hearing these words going back and forth, and almost just like in a prison, there's a hierarchy of dudes you just don't touch. You don't mess with these guys. These guys are legit tough guys. Some guys are tough guy wannabes. If you had to, you don't have to rank them in order. Give me 5 guys that you would say are some of the nastiest, toughest guys that you knew nobody on that court was going to mess with. You named 2 of them that I think have to be one of them.
And in no particular order.
Yeah.
Maurice Lucas.
First and foremost.
Was just tough. X-Man, tough. Oakley was tough. He backed it up. And in New York, we had Anthony Mason,
of course,
for a bit. And these are just guys that scrapped. They didn't get to where they were by rolling over. And obviously the game has changed. The trash talk, besides the physical component, the trash talk used to be fun back in the day. There's not as much of that anymore.
Which is probably why there's not as much fighing, right? If you don't talk as much trash, you probably don't fight.
Well, now there's a lot of money at stake when you get fined or suspended for a game. It's not a minimal amount. But listening to Gary Payton go at it with MJ or Reggie Miller and John Starks back in the day, even Bird was one of my all-time favorite players. And I think because of since his retirement, he's so mellow, and so people underappreciate his game.
Yeah.
They really do. It was incredible.
I say it all the time. I think 3-year peak Bird was statistically as good as any NBA. I mean, I compared his 3-year peak with LeBron's, and to be quite frank with you, Bird's was better in my opinion. Just depends on what you weight, as far as efficiency and all that. But peak Bird before the damn back injury, I wish he'd have just hired one of us to go freaking do his mom's driveway instead of shoveling it. I mean, no, that was it. I'll go off track now. I was a fan, and he was one of the few guys that I was a little intimidated by. I was younger, and you knew he didn't really like getting his picture taken. He was like no BS. Yeah, no doubt.
But I did have the opportunity to go to French Lick. NBA Entertainment was doing one of those videos that they used to do back in the day. And we spent a couple days in French Lick, and that was one of the highlights that I'll always treasure. I was rebounding for him on his court at his house.
He doesn't need a rebounder, Nat.
By the way, he was sweating. I didn't move. He literally could go 45 minutes to an hour without missing.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, and those are things that I'll always take away, when I am done with this game, like those little memories. And to your point, I don't know if people know the entire story, but he hurt his back because he was putting in the off season, he was putting in a cement driveway at his mom's house.
Yeah.
And he had a terrible finger injury that he got hit with a line drive. He played on his brother's softball team in French Lick.
Yeah.
But those are just treasured memories for me personally.
Yeah.
And he was a bad man, as they say, on the court.
The thing about Bird is like, and we can say the same thing about Jokic and some of these other guys, is like Bird's game wasn't predicated on athleticism. He had an old man's game as a young man. That dude could have played for 20 years and been just as effective because he wasn't jumping or outrunning anybody. But what people don't think is his first step was filthy. And it helps that he doesn't miss. And so that makes your first step look a lot better. But his first step was special. And he was a massive human being. I mean, I think
he was bigger. Yeah, he was bigger than people. He was. I think they listed him maybe at 6'9". He was a legit 6'8", big body. And guys, they're so smart. You know, even these current guys are like basketball savants. You know, and it's just fun to reminisce a little bit about it.
Let me show you 2 pictures, and you just talk. That's it. I'm just going to share a picture with you, and you talk. And I'm pretty sure these are yours. Tell me about what you think of when you see this picture, and tell me the secret about this picture. I researched it now. I did my research. You tell me the trick that you pulled on this picture.
Well, that was we did a project for the NBA at 50 that you referenced before. We did portraits of the players. And, you know, I never saw Bill Russell play, but obviously my dad would talk about him, and you knew the legend of the 10 fingers, 11 rings. And this was actually an earlier test shot, because in this one, he only has the 10 rings, one on each finger. And they were like, oh, let me add one. And I put one on that pinky, and then got him to smile. The second we did that, he broke into his famous cackle, and had a great laugh. And it's one of my favorite memories. I like the photo, but being privileged, quite honestly, to have a chance to meet him. It was a very quick shoot, maybe a 5 or 10 minute shoot.
Yeah.
But I think what you were referencing is he didn't get 11 rings for the championship. After they won a couple of championships, the players got other things. So we had to borrow rings from some of his teammates and some of the front office people to signify the 11 rings.
The 11. That's awesome. That's a great picture, man. And look, he gives people like me who like to make lists and historical rankings and just, you know, pull up to the bar and start arguing about the greatest ever. He gives people like me anxiety because I don't know what to do with him.
And I think it's important for these younger generation kids. Everyone is in a now moment, right?
Yeah.
So could he play now? Could he do it? Yeah, he could. Would he one of 11? Maybe not. But you're as good as your competition is, right?
And
he was going against Wilt Chamberlain, going against Nate Thurmond, going against Walt Bellman. He wasn't playing like a bunch of stiffs.
Yeah.
You know,
Pettit was in that mix.
You play who's in front of you, right? A baseball player, could Ted Williams hit 400 against today's pitchers? I don't know, but he did pretty damn well against the people that were in front of him every night, right?
If it was so easy, then why didn't anybody else hit?
Exactly, 100%, 100%.
All right, picture number 2, right?
You know what? That one actually is not mine.
Okay,
but I have
yours.
I have that moment from the other side of the court. That's my colleague Andy Bernstein's photo.
Got it. Yeah.
But that's Magic's junior, and context is everything. It's not a game in February or January. This is game 4 of the NBA Finals. 4 seconds left. He hit that, and then he just ran off the court. Boom! They stole the game in Boston Garden.
And if I'm not mistaken, you're looking at 7 Hall of Famers in one shot.
Right.
That's Worthy. That's DJ. Obviously, that's Captain. That's the Chief.
Yeah.
McHale. It's Magic. And if you look between
there is
McHale
Bird
and Parrish, you see Bird. You know what Bird's legs look like in his ugly, ugly Converse weapons, right? So that's Bird over there.
Pretty amazing cast of characters in there.
That's incredible. Yeah, and that's the era. I was born in '74. I'm 51 years old. So that was my first exposure to the NBA. Was the the Lakers Celtics rivalry,
Yeah.
and I was an all flash, no substance type player. I love to play offense. I love to shoot threes. I love to dunk. I love to run. I love to play transition. I hated defense. And I guess the misconception is that the Lakers ran and the Celtics just slowed it down, and they were this plodding group of dudes who couldn't play quick. The Celtics scored the hell out of the ball.
Right.
I mean,
they could all every one of them could pass.
All of them, everyone.
DJ Bird talks about it all the time, how DJ is very underappreciated. He called him his best teammate. Parrish was an incredible passer. McHale was a credible pass. The whole team could pass. And
even in Bill Walton's later years, I mean, he's one of the greatest passing big men of all time. Yeah, they were. That's what I grew up on. That was my '80s, and then of course, a guy named Michael Jordan came along and took the baton and just kind of changed everything forever. Is it safe to say you've seen 40 years of this, man? You've seen from 1984 to present. Is it safe to say nobody's affected the sport of basketball worldwide anywhere close to MJ? Is there anybody even close?
You know what? It's difficult to say because, like everything else in like its timing, right? Yep. I alluded to NBA before growing. In the late 80s, there was a big push for international, and it was Magic, Bird, and those guys, really drove the league to new heights. Then that the '92 Dream Team was the the ribbon on that, and MJ just had the timing. I think, obviously, the greatest ever, but the timing for the growth of the league at that time, how they were doing the television broadcasts themselves were so cool. What CBS and then NBC were doing with the telecast, the Bulls intro song, people still listen to that, and things like that. And winning 6 championships doesn't hurt,
right?
So it's just been remarkable.
Recently, there's a scary team in the NBA, and they're going to be scary for a long time, and they're poised to do some, we don't throw the word dynasty around loosely, and I certainly don't, because I know how quickly things can change in the NBA. Oklahoma City is positioned right now, asset-wise, player-wise. They got their big 3 under contract. They've got great, component parts around them also under contract for a good bit here. You got a chance to shoot a bunch of the OKC stuff. I'm going to take people to your this is Nat's Instagram page, which he's got, he makes me look like a drop of water in the ocean. He's got 107,000 followers, and I've got, 10,000. But this is Nat's Instagram page. And I wanted to scroll down, and you got to take a lot of shots with SGA, intimate access in the locker room and whatnot. Tell us about working with SGA, about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and what he's like, as a player off the court, in the locker room, kind of off the court.
Yeah, you know what? To be honest, me being in the New York area, I would see him at all-star games and things like that, but did not shoot a lot of OKC games, but spending time during the playoff run and the finals, just watching his game is incredible, and then you heard the stories. Oh, he's a great guy. I love that picture right there. And it's totally true. These guys are so smart, so savvy. If you watch him play, first of all, not even talking about what a great dude he is, you watch his game, you can't tell if they're up 20 or down 20. Well, I guess they're never really down 20. I have to be on with that team. But you watch him, you can't, the coaches will talk about trying to speed someone up, or so. He plays at the same pace, the same tempo. And I want to say he's 25, maybe.
He's right there.
25. It's crazy. He won his chip. Will they be favored next year? Probably. So now you have to do it. There's a lot of times there's potential. You have a potential for that. So you have to do it. But aside from basketball, the personalities on that team really, really mesh together. And I'm talking about just as a fan, watching them interact in practice, watching them in the locker room, watching them during the game. That to me Obviously, the talent is there for their big three, and then even Alex Caruso on that team is so vital,
Yeah. Yeah.
But their personalities, the way they mesh, they're going to be fun to watch. And I think the average NBA fan probably didn't know much about SGA going into last year's playoffs.
Yeah.
And he's going to be obviously he won MVP. He's going to be in that conversation for the next 5, 6, 7 years. Like
Undoubtedly.
he's that good, and his game is the whole package.
Yeah.
I think, so that's cool. And by the way, the nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
So you can't help but root for guys like that.
He seems so chill. Like he seems so even keel. You nailed it when you're like, you can't tell if they're up 20 or down 20. And again, they're not down 20 often, but like,
and that's where people say, "Oh, he's Canadian." Oh, all the Canadians are chill. His
demeanor is amazing.
But
man.
And it was fun for me because, like I said, I was not that familiar with him personally.
Yeah.
But getting to spend some time, just an amazing individual.
Tell me about 1984. Any interaction with? I mean, the people kill me. All my viewers are gonna kill me if I don't ask you about MJ. So talk to me about 84. Any chance that your paths cross as early as 84? Was it a year after? A couple years after? Any MJ stories? Early MJ stories?
You know what? Just watching from afar.
Yeah.
We were not. Things. There was obviously no social media. There wasn't a lot of interaction. You'd go shoot a game and go separate ways.
Yeah.
There was a kind of a relationship that developed over the years. NBA would do the video. People obviously all saw, The Last Dance. So we were behind the scenes for all of that stuff. So it was something that evolved over time. But the thing about MJ, and the coaches and his teammates will tell you, was just his mental toughness, his mental killer instinct kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And I think that's not something that you can fake.
Yeah.
Like it's just, okay.
Not for 20 years.
Like his game, everyone works on their game, gets better, like that. That's how it should be. But right from the get-go, his mental toughness, and there was the Bobby Knight quote about the that 84 Olympic team.
I remember.
Like, it's just and if you were privileged enough to watch, you could see it. It didn't take a genius to figure out, Yeah. And then, like you said, we're working. He's doing his, like the league's growing. It's fun to look back on it. But at the moment, you're in the moment. You're focused on things. You're not thinking the best ever, this, that. You're just doing the grind and being appreciative of what is going on around you.
Yeah. What'd you think of The Last Dance? Generally speaking.
I thought it was great. There were, some people, I guess, didn't they thought it was more Michael than the Bulls, whatever. He was obviously
he's bigger than the Bulls. I don't know what else to say.
Having said that, we all know that it's a team game,
for sure.
And Scottie Pippen could be one of the all-time underrated players, them getting Rodman for the second half of the three-peat was huge.
Yeah.
But basketball as a role, Steve Kerr hit big shots. John Paxson hit big shots. Horace Grant did what he was supposed to do. It was Michael's team, but it's a team game. Yeah. And they lost to the Pistons. It wasn't like he came in the league and was anointed. Yeah. Like, he worked his ass off. I was there. Like, those stories that you hear are true. Yeah. Okay, practice at 9:30. Like, he would work out 2 hours before practice.
Yeah.
He's in the weight room at 6:30. They called it the breakfast club or whatever. Yeah. And he's killing it. And by the way, LeBron is very similar like that. Oh, he goes 5 hours early. Well, he's not fixing his hair for 5 hours before the game. He's there 5 hours before the game, working his ass off.
Yeah. Hey, listen. This is what I tell people when they doubt LeBron's work ethic, and look, I'm MJ over LeBron, right? Just as a fan, right?
Right.
But when they doubt LeBron's work ethic, I tell LeBron, all LeBron's got to do is take his shirt off. Like, there you go. He's 40 years old. Just take your shirt off.
And you know what? I give, and we're switching gears a little bit, but in this era, right, of social media and everything, everyone has a phone. Like, I give LeBron so much credit for dealing with the stuff that he deals with on a daily basis. And by the way, doing the work that they, at some point, like, is it like, oh, I can't do this anymore? But every year he comes back. This is going to be year 23.
Yeah.
And he hasn't fallen off that much.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, but I do see it. I see it. He puts in his pregame ritual is more intense than 90% of the guys play in the league, like their game.
Yeah.
And it shows. The proof is in the pudding, you know?
Kobe, the first time you met Kobe, you didn't introduce yourself to him. He introduced himself to you. Is that correct? You got to tell us that story. People got to.
No, it's a crazy story. And I've told the story many times because it does reflect on who he was. You know, I think most people know, but for younger fans and stuff, Kobe's dad played in the NBA, then he played in Italy. When Kobe was young, he grew up in Italy. So he says that he would watch the VHS tapes of the games. He had posters in his room. I had Willis Reed and Walt Frazier posters in my room when I was a kid, right? So Kobe had MJ posters in his room. But the first time I met him, he came up to me, "Oh, you're Nathaniel Butler?" Gave me a big hug. I was like, "Whoa, what are we like?" "Oh, I know you." I was like, "What?" But in those days, those posters there was a star line was the poster they would put photo by, you know, as a
I remember.
Credit. So Kobe said he would lie in bed looking at the MJ posters, studying the posters, and he saw the name, you know, on the poster, and he remembered that name.
That's amazing.
And I was blown away by that. Because I've said it before. I joke, like, the only people that care about that are like me and my mom having my name on. But then knowing him over the years, that's his level of intensity. Yeah. Like every minutia, every detail, he was well aware of.
He was a precision scientist. His attention to detail was second to none. Maybe even beyond the level of MJ. I mean, he was obsessive about footwork, about detail, and he sought answers. You know, I don't think Jordan did this. Kobe sought answers from every source. I mean, he hit everybody, right? He was always trying to gather information from the greats that came before him. And that's even big man, postman. I mean, I know he consulted Olajuwon.
And that's what you should do, right?
Of course.
If you're in any other business, what do? You ask other people's advice. You surround yourself. So did he emulate most of what MJ did? Of course he did. Is that a negative?
Why wouldn't
you? You go up there, and his footwork and the little turn and twist and, you know, shooting off the other foot and things like that. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's hours and hours and hours. And that's why those guys are who they are.
Nat, any other player stories, player interactions that stand out to you? It doesn't have to be big, mega, superstars. We talked about MJ, we talked about Kobe and those folks. Any other players that you kind of established a special, a little bit closer than anybody else relationship with over your 40 years? I would assume maybe some Knicks players, maybe.
No, I've been fortunate. It's not like we hang out, go to dinner, whatever. We lead very different lives.
Of course.
But there's a lot of great friendships that I've had over the years. It's a little bit of game respects game kind of mentality. Now it's very different because some of the younger players will remember a photo or something that I took, and they're like, "Oh, you took that photo," or something like that. But friendships like Patrick Ewing and I, I hated Patrick when he was at Georgetown because I was a Chris Mullin fan. Chris is a good friend of mine. Georgetown would kick our ass all the time. And I'm like, Patrick, come on, man. But then he gets drafted by the Knicks. Our careers kind of parallel where, the same age. I was fortunate enough to see him play so many memorable games at the Garden and be appreciative of what he did on a night in and night
Yeah.
out basis, and it's just a lot of good memories. And then there's other things like, now Jalen Brunson on the Knicks. I was, a little friendly with his dad because his dad played on the Knicks. When you do it for so
Sure,
long, there is
sure.
a next generation, from Del Curry to Steph Curry kind of,
Yeah.
it's very different.
Yeah. What a great contract the Knicks got on Jalen Brunson. Everybody's like, Jalen Brunson, $100 million. Y'all are crazy. Another Knicks screw up. And then now it's like, damn, they stole
And you know
Jalen
what?
Brunson.
Yeah, but if
Yeah.
like if you watch those games when he
Yeah.
was in Dallas, when he was given an opportunity, it wasn't a huge surprise.
Yeah. Well, he
And I
just needed
think
the usage, right? I mean, just Doncic had the ball the whole time, and
correct.
Jalen needed the
And I
ball, and he
think
got it. And,
certain guys are winners, right? If
yeah.
you take into account winning 2 national championships at Villanova, right?
Big
His
and outstanding
background,
player. Yeah.
his background with his dad, and again, he's a savant with how
For
smart
sure.
he is. All those factors come into play.
Yeah.
So I don't like, has he exceeded expectations slightly, maybe?
Probably.
But I
Yeah.
always thought he would be that good.
Yeah. Tell me about your experience in the COVID bubble. It seems like it was 20 years ago, Nat, but
Right.
it's just like what, 5 years, something
Right.
like that. Tell me about your personal experience. Like, what was your day to day in the bubble, and how did you have to operate and get from place to place? Or once you were in there, was it just business as usual? I mean, you were away from your family, and
Well,
you
it was
didn't know
very,
anybody.
obviously, like during that whole thing, I was like nervous like everyone else. Am I going to work again? We're
Yeah.
talking about, doing these events with 20,000 people. What the world has changed, and the NBA was literally at the forefront of, some of the scientific components about what we're doing and things like that. And, we all use sports as a little bit of a, life moments, relaxing and
Yeah.
turning off the switch of life or whatever, like Last Dance. I was like everyone else in the country,
Riveted.
watching it every Sunday night, riveted, right?
Yeah.
So then when there was talk of, coming back and what the NBA pulled off, and there will at one point be a documentary about it.
Has to be. It's crazy.
What they did pull off in the bubble was truly remarkable.
Yeah.
With practice courts, keeping people healthy, right? We were tested 2 times a day. We didn't really hang out with the players, but we were literally in a contained bubble on the Disney campus,
Yeah.
And for me, I loved it for the simple reason that I love basketball and I missed basketball,
Yeah.
but also I got a chance to see some different teams, a lot of West Coast teams. You'd go and you do two at the beginning, you do 2 or 3 games a day,
Yeah.
and I would see teams, out of the East a lot. Lakers obviously ended up winning. So a lot of LeBron and Lakers. And some of the players referred to it as like an old AAU tournament,
Yeah.
which is a good analogy.
Yeah.
When the high school team goes someplace for a weekend, they stay in a hotel, they play 2 or 3 games a day,
Yeah.
and that was kind of the vibe,
Yeah.
And by the way, there's people like, oh, the asterisks, whatever.
I was going to ask you about that.
What? I personally think that's BS.
I think so too.
Because, okay, yes, less travel, right? Okay, everyone's playing under the same rules.
It's less travel for everybody. There's nothing unfair about it.
Correct.
In fact, I think you could even make an argument that it's more important.
Well,
like you're not around your kids.
If you were there, the mental component was real. My kids were a little older. If you had young kids, I was there. I want to say something like 95 days or something. I think the total thing was like 115. I was not there right for the first 2 weeks or something. But, these guys have wives, they have families, they have, business empires that they're running. It was not easy, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And for them, they do live in a little bit of a different world than the rest of us.
Yeah.
But I think on a outside of basketball was a big hardship for them.
Yeah.
And to both of our points, everyone was playing under the same rules.
Yeah.
Okay, no home crowd, no this. Okay, whatever, go out and win the game.
Yeah.
But the basketball was fun. The guys are so talented. It was really fun in that regard. Was there monotony of life? Yes. But I was happy to be back at work, quite honestly. And I enjoyed watching the games and being at the games.
Well, that's an amazing story. Like the idea of the COVID bubble, thank God for the NBA having the balls to go ahead and kind of solve the riddle. I think it got the world moving, or at least the sports world, back on track sooner than anybody thought it was going to be. And so,
yes.
That Rudy Gobert deal is when I realized how serious COVID was. I remember I was at my kid's baseball game and I was like, I'm looking at my phone, Nat, and I'm like, I turned to my wife and I was like, I think this thing's real. That was the first time I realized. I was like, I think this thing's real. I don't think I'm going to have work tomorrow. Like if the NBA guys ain't going to work, then I'm not going to work.
No, and I thought I would have 4 or 5 days off or something, not months off. And I do tell people, if you were in New York during that time, which I was, you do have an entirely different perspective.
Yeah.
And just for the obvious reasons, if you live and work in New York, you're taking the subway, you're taking the train, you're taking the bus, so you're around people.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so horrible in New York.
Yeah, for sure.
But the NBA, I don't know how they I don't know how they pulled it off. The behind the scenes meetings and from the medical standpoint and the expense. But the world owes the NBA some gratitude for that.
Do you collect cards at all? I got to ask you because that's what kind of I'm about. Like, do you collect basketball cards? If you do, God, I can't wait to hear this.
I do. And it's kind of crazy. I used to. My dad would collect baseball cards. I have like a Willie Mays and a couple of old cards.
Yeah.
Like kids of my generation, I had cards and would put tape on them, put them up on my bedroom wall, rip them off, and ruin the card. But then when I started shooting more for the NBA, I would collect. Not religiously, but cards, because probably at that time in the mid 80s, I would say 70, it was myself, Andy Bernstein, there was a guy, Noren Trotman, who was shooting. So probably 40 or 50% of any of the products were my photos that were on the cards.
Wait, what the hell? You just broke the internet. Like these card collectors are literally about to dork out right now because that is insane. I was going to ask you, like, do you know of any? You're telling me 40 or 50%? That's incredible.
Oh yeah, because they're licensed. They're licensed products from the NBA.
Yeah.
So we're shooting for the NBA. NBA does approve the cards and things. So during that time period, like I referenced before, every team having a photographer, that was gradually becoming in place, But yeah, those early sets, Andy and Ella, and if you look at the cards, a lot of them have the background of the LA Coliseum for the Clippers at that time, or the LA Forum, some of the old Madison Square Garden or Philly or Jersey background, So yeah, it was probably, like I said, 40 or 50% of every set was my photos.
Do you remember like the first card you saw where you were like, oh, that's my photo? Or was that just you were too busy doing stuff?
You know what?
There were like
it's
one
so
that stood out that
like,
was like, that's definitely me. Like, I've made it.
Not in a nonchalant way. You were too busy.
Yeah.
But having said that, we referenced traveling before. During an off day of traveling or something, I would go to a card shop,
really?
and look at cards. Nothing was graded in those days,
Nope.
And I remember that MJ play, or that, there's the MJ in the red just always looked so nice on the cards,
Yeah.
the Knicks home white or a Magic Johnson or something, So I would randomly, pick up cards based on the photo,
Yeah.
not like,
Yeah.
is it a hologram? Is it a chrome? Is it a prism? Like, I don't
Sure.
know,
Sure.
the minutia of a
Yeah.
lot of that stuff,
Yeah.
I do have a couple of because I thought it was cool. The couple of the MJ Upper Deck number 12 cards.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah. He was with Sam Vincent.
they Upper Deck made a card. The Sam Vincent card, MJ's in the background, but Upper Deck did make a card of MJ prominent,
Oh, really?
wearing the 12.
Okay.
And back in the day when I was a kid, baseball was famous if they made a mistake card.
Error cards. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That became
I'm in that same era.
collectible.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that number 12 is my photo. That's a cool card. I like that card of MJ in the number 12,
Yeah.
But it's just obviously it's exploded. But when my kids were younger, would get Beckett magazine and look at the cards, and I do have a lot that I don't have any free time, but one of these days, months, years, PSA might get a big submission.
Perfect. Hey, if you need help, you let me know. I'll help you do the submission. I'm an affiliate partner with PSA, so I'll save you $25 too, Nat.
You know what? I'll take you up on that because, by the way, I didn't go to the National this year. I want to go one of these years, but I was reading about your Thunder Down Under collection.
Oh, amazing! Yeah,
was that from one collector?
From one, he used to be a huge Jordan collector, and that was what was left of his Jordan collection. And he lives in Australia. He watched the channel. He reached out to me, and he's like, "I've seen you bought other really big collections." He's like, "I've got one that's all great," and I knew he was legit because I recognized his name because I'd seen him on Instagram and over the years. He's like, we got a deal done in 30 minutes. It's a 6-figure deal, Nat, and we got it done in like 30 minutes. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, it was a nice price point. It was a win-win, and it was all Jordan, and it's all stuff I knew, so I didn't have to research anything. And it was, in a spreadsheet, and the deal was done. 30 minutes later, he shipped it to my vault in Oregon, and then the rest is history. I kept a lot of them, and then I sold some of them, and rinse and repeat. That's kind of how I kind of do.
No, because I do want to I'm pretty naive in terms of a lot of the things and just familiarize myself with. Like, I'm not familiar with the the Fanatics buy. Is that the right
buy now marketplace? Yeah.
Because literally, I probably have tens of thousands of cards, and I have a bunch of probably a lot of the boxes unopened.
Oh man,
but literally everything now. Obviously, you need to have graded and want to have graded. So I'm a fan, but it is new territory for me.
Well, we got to make sure nobody finds out where you are or where that is, because they're going to message you. You're going to get like 1,000 inbox emails coming through and text messages. So we got to keep your, identity secret here. We're not going to tell anybody where you're at. They'll never catch you during the season, which I meant to ask you, how many games do you think you're going to shoot this year?
You know what? Typically I do well over 100 games a year.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! So how many like flights is that? Like getting on it? I hate flying, Nat. I hate flying, so that's why I'm asking.
You know what? It's just part of the
You just get used to
it. I prop myself up in a window. I go to sleep before the plane takes off.
I'm so jealous.
Get some rest, and you know what? You don't have a choice.
I am so jealous. I cannot sleep on planes to save my life. I've tried my whole life and I can't do it. And I'm going to have an overseas trip coming at some point in the very near future. I don't know how I'm going to do it. They're going to have to just
my first trip of the year, we're just finalizing it, is a 17.5-hour flight with the Knicks to Abu Dhabi for preseason. So that's a kickoff from not a 3-hour flight from New York to Chicago or something.
That's going to mess you up for a while.
So that we're kicking it off strong.
Yeah. Any players that you recall being just like I joke about this all the time, when it comes to cards, I'll look at a card and I've got a list of guys. It's impossible to take a bad photograph of them. Like, no matter what, they look athletic. No matter what, they look like $1 million, right? I think Dominique Wilkins, Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, Dennis Rodman always
Right.
looks like he's always kinetic, right? He's always moving. It's like impossible to get a bad image of him. Is there any guys like that you remember photographing that where it was like, this is almost too easy? These guys, every time I do it, it's a perfect picture.
You know what? That's a great point. And I think in general, with NBA, they don't wear a helmet. They're not wearing a face mask. It's not like football. They all are like sculpted,
Yeah.
right? So it lends itself to beautiful photography in general.
Yeah.
You know, and what we do with the different lighting and stuff, you could tell over the years with, you know, crispness to certain things with the lighting. I think the product lends itself to great photography. And you do, you know, a guy like Dominique who would sweat a little with his body, it just glistens in the lighting of the photography.
Shaq used to call him Big Sexy,
right? And Shaq was fun. Obviously, his cards went crazy right at the
$1 billion
beginning.
smile, $1 billion, right?
And he such a good guy with his smile. He was having fun, you know. So it is an interesting phenomenon of the growth of these cards, right?
Yeah.
You know, back in the day with Topps and then Skybox and the Upper Deck always was a different thing, and Panini had their thing, and now back to Topps.
Back to Fanatics, yeah. All right, let me ask you some rapid fire questions. I'm not good. I talk a lot, so there's nothing that I do that's rapid fire except how quick I speak. So I'm going to try to ask a question. You give a quick answer. We'll move on to the next one. The first one is not easy. You ready? And you're a lifer just like me, and I know what my answer is. Who would have been the best out of these 4 players had they stayed healthy their whole career? Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill, Len Bias, Derrick Rose. How miserable is that question? That's tough.
It's a tough question. I didn't see Len Bias a lot in college. You would hear the stories. Mm-hmm. I would go with G. Hill.
Yeah,
and a tough, like Penny was insane. I did shoot Penny in college. Mm-hmm. They had a couple of tournament games in the Garden.
Yeah.
And you know, D. Rose was the youngest MVP in NBA history. So leave it at that. You know. If I had to pick G. Hill, people forget how good he was.
I think he was an inevitable MVP. I think, barring injury, he was inevitably at some point an MVP, maybe multiple. I hadn't seen much. I hadn't seen anybody quite like him. He struck me as the closest thing to Magic, Jordan, and Pippen rolled into one.
No, 100%. And the Pippen,
those three
Pippen was good too because his defense was off the charts.
Elite. Yeah,
he would be the one. Yeah,
and he never had the help. So by the time he got injured, he never got the help he needed to do his thing. You know, your Rushmore of players, right? Rushmore means 4. You get 4 players over 40 years. I'm not going to base it on numbers on paper, right? We can always look that up. ChatGPT can tell us. I want that you put eyes on in their prime, where you would say that's the best I've ever seen a basketball player play. You know, at this point in time.
So it makes it easier if it's players I've seen, because then it would eliminate, you know, the Russell,
84. Yes,
the Russell will
84.
So I would say, and it's still, by the way, it's still difficult.
It's not easy. You're going to have to leave some really big time players out.
This is probably like it's not a cop out, but Bird, Magic, MJ, LeBron.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and now we're leaving out Kobe and Shaq. Either way, you're going to get hate mail.
And by the way, Steph Curry it's insane.
Yeah,
and he's still looking good at 36 or whatever he's doing. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna let you off the hook because it's impossible. Either way, you're going to get nasty comments. I'm just preparing you because Kobe fans are passionate. Shaq fans are passionate. You got to leave somebody out, right?
Yes. You know what? If Shaq watches this, he's going to kick my ass next time.
He's going to kick your ass, right? Rushmore, Nat Butler photos. If you had to pick the 4 photos that you've taken in your life that mean the most to you in the NBA photos, you got to pick 4 of them, man, as your Nat Butler Rushmore. What you got?
You know what? That's difficult as well. I do love the Russell rings, you know, just for what it is. as a Knicks guy, I love the Patrick Ewing arms when he hopped up on the table. Those group portraits, I'll put them as one, the NBA at 50 and NBA at 75. I'll do that as one, just as, again, as a basketball fan, having all of those guys in one room.
Yeah. That's why we got to have a sequel to this interview.
Was so special.
I didn't even get to it. Yeah.
That was so special to me. So what's that?
You got one more.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll leave you at 3. We'll leave it at 3. We'll leave it at a holy trio.
Yeah, MJ, like LeBron, there's too many. I love the Steph night.
Yeah.
JT and Deuce was great from 2 years ago. Yeah, it's too hard.
Too hard. Okay, I'll let you off the hook with that.
All right.
It's too close to home. It's too close to home. Best NBA game you've ever been in attendance at? Game, most memorable game. I don't want to say best game. Your most memorable game.
You know what? Again, not to cop out, but too many. Like, I've been crazy fortunate for too many moments, you know.
Were you at Jordan's last game on the Bulls?
Jordan's last game.
Well, there's your answer.
And, you know, even like some of the Celtics, Lakers, right? Kobe when they beat the Celtics in what was that, 09? I'm bad with my years.
Yeah.
Some of the Olympic stuff was crazy. Knicks Bulls, like, yeah, game 6 of 16, game 7, I mean, of 16, with you know, Kyrie hitting that 3, LeBron's block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
A lot of crazy memories.
This is not easy. Yeah. This is not easy. If we gave you an NBA player comp as a photographer, who are you amongst the photographers if it was by NBA player standards?
You know what? I've never been asked that question. That's a great.
That's why they pay me the big bucks. Or
that's
the small
a great
bucks, I should
question,
say, right?
Because I do, like, not in a cocky way, but I pride myself on being well-rounded. Like, you know, when I was doing the book, like, of course you do the action shots, right? I love doing the portraits, which is a whole different style of photography.
Yeah.
I love doing like the photojournalism stuff, the locker room, you know, on the plane, on the bus, like because I do pride myself on being well-rounded in that regard. So it would have to be someone like with an all-around.
Dude, I know who it is. You know who it is. You can say it. If it's longevity, all-around basketball ability, shoot, pass, dribble, you just described LeBron. I think you're the LeBron of NBA photographers.
By the way, it's not terrible, right?
It's not terrible. Just don't tell me you're the Charles Oakley, right? You don't want to be the Charles Oakley because then you don't know who's
the tough guy. Right. I'm a softie at heart.
Yeah.
But if it were to be LeBron, that's not too shabby. I would be pretty proud of that.
You ever been injured? Right. These are rapid fire. You ever been injured from a collision or from like, you know,
nothing serious.
That's great.
Thankfully.
That's also like LeBron. You playing damn near every game, at least for a long time, you know.
Nothing serious.
Proudest moment of your career. If you had to pinpoint it, I know this is going to be harder than picking out your favorite photos. Is there a moment in your career that was the most proud, that like most poignant? Like, I've arrived, I can die happy now.
Well, you know what? The first photo I was really proud of was that Magic Junior.
Yeah.
Because I was young. I was probably 19. Can I do this? Can you really make a career out of this? There's 50 or 60 other photographers there, and I got that shot. And then
when did you know? Like, this is 87.
This was 87, and the famous story is, like, you run out of the arena. I go to the hotel. I'm developing the film. I have clothespins in the shower at the hotel. Screamed at 2:00 in the morning when I saw the shot. You know.
You didn't know, like, you got the shot at the game, but you had to get to the hotel, and it took however long, and then you're like, eureka! I did, and you had to been jumping around like a maniac.
Yes, I totally was,
I hit
because
it. I made it.
you can't say I got it and then you
Yeah.
jinx it. You know, it
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
you could get the moment, but it
Please,
could be
please,
out of
please. Yeah.
focus, a referee's arm in the way or
Yeah.
something. But
Yeah.
that made me happy in that, you know what, I think I might be able to do this as a career. You
Yeah.
know, so that was exciting for
It's
me.
like your welcome to the NBA moment. You know, they ask
Sort of,
players that
yeah.
all the time. What was your, oh, well,
Right.
Jordan did this to me.
And that was, you know, kind of like 3 years in. Like
Yeah.
you're working hard. It wasn't like, oh, MJ's rookie year, I got these crazy dunk photos
Sure.
of him,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So yeah.
Who's the
Um,
most indispensable person in your 40-year career? The person that you needed the most, the person that meant the most, the person that was the most instrumental to your success. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a colleague. It could be a family member. It could be a, a best friend. It could be anything. It could be
you
a
know what?
colleague.
I would lump it as family.
Yeah.
You know, not
Good
one
call.
person, because we talked about the travel. We talk about work nights, you work weekends, you work holidays. It's not easy on your family,
Yeah.
all the travel. So it's not being cheesy, but it's your family from wife to kids to aunts, uncles, like a whole village
Yeah.
of family.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy. You know,
Yeah.
your friends call, hey, what are you doing on Friday night? What are you talking? I got a game on Friday. I got a game
Yeah.
on Saturday. I have a game
Right.
Sunday. Like, you know, it's
Yeah.
not easy.
Yeah.
So I would say that.
The book. Let's talk about the book. It's behind you. It's called Courtside. Tell me about the book. I'll pull something up on the internet, which I'm terrible and unprepared, but I'm gonna pull something up right now. Talk to me about the book. I know this is kind of the culmination of a 40-year career in the NBA, getting to see all these things that we talked about, all these things that nobody else has had the privilege of seeing, not quite to the extent of you. Let me screen share it. What's the easiest way for people to find the book, to buy the book, and then tell them what they're going to see when they buy it?
You know what? Thank you. Probably the easiest way is Amazon. Everyone seems to have an Amazon account these days. But it's a 40-year kind of retrospective. It was very difficult for me personally. What gets in, what doesn't. A lot of memories. I could do a whole book on LeBron or MJ or something, you know.
Yeah.
But it does have a lot of the photos in that we've talked about,
Yeah.
you know, during this. I wanted to put some things in there that people haven't seen before, you know.
Yep.
And just kind of a collection of different photos. And I think what's very cool is I didn't get everyone, but there were over 50 players and coaches that contributed. I wanted the players to talk about, basically the players wrote the captions for the photos.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Which is a little bit of a different perspective. Like we referenced the John Starks dunk, you know, he talks about the dunk. LeBron talks about, you know, winning the championship with the Lakers in the bubble. Yeah. Some of the players talked about those group photos of NBA at 50, NBA at 75, like just what it was like for them. Reggie Miller talks about looking around, seeing Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, Kareem. Like, it's cool. That stuff, we're all fans.
Yeah.
Right. So those things I think are very special. Like you flip through, you look at the pictures, you put it on the coffee table, and then you start going back and, you know, reading, you know, some of what the players had written. And Dave McMenamin, who's a good friend, he helped gather a lot of those. And I'm terrible at writing and spell. There's that magic.
That's you right there. Yeah, you were right. Yeah, other side.
From the other side. But Dave was a dear friend. It was very helpful, and he was one of the co-authors on the book.
You used the D word, Dave McMenamin. He and I messaged, and he's supposed to come on here. He was supposed to beat you to the punch and come on the channel because I know he follows my Instagram page and
he's a big card guy too.
Yeah, I got to get him on here. Like the world wants to see Dave McMenamin's card collection, and I know he's busy and he's big time now. You know,
well, he's a good. I'm not speaking out of school. He got married last year.
Yes, I know,
and didn't have time for a honeymoon. He's now on his honeymoon a year later.
Okay.
He's unavailable for the next couple of weeks.
If he can put his honeymoon off, then I guess I'll have to accept him putting me off. Like,
and by the way, he'll step into the fire day one with LeBron, Luka, Bryant, like the Lakers. He can never breathe for a 10-month stretch.
He's in the middle of the circus. By any chance, do you ever rub shoulders with Andrew Lopez? You know Andrew? He used to cover the Pelicans. Now he covers the Spurs, I think.
You know what? I probably know his face if I were to see him.
Yeah,
the name doesn't pop. Yeah.
When I was in grassroots basketball, coaching against all the NBA guys back when they were in the EYBL, Andrew was real helpful for me with the recruiting process and getting me some contact info. And he made it big time. You know, ESPN grabbed him, and he became the Pelicans guy, and now he's Wemby's guy. And so.
That's cool. Awesome.
So my heroes, you know, well, growing up, it's Bird, Magic, it's Jordan, you know, fill in the blanks. But now as an old man, you know, talking for a living, Dave McMenamin, Brian Windhorst, Bontemps, all these guys. Like I was born to do what they're doing.
Right.
It's too damn late, you know, so I'm just going to do it down here.
You never know. And by the way, Wendy's one of the all-time great guys.
I needed to hear that. I love that
guy. Just
a
super, super good guy. And Tim, I see a lot because he's based in New York. Yeah. He just had a baby this spring. He's enjoying his summer, and he's going to get going with the season before you know it too. Yeah, they're all got a great podcast. Super good guys. Yes,
That's my number one podcast. Like the Hoop Collective, that's my number one podcast. They think like me, they talk like me, and I'm like, I'm in. Anytime it comes out, I'm listening. And they're consistent like me. So
that's awesome.
I'm following in their footsteps. Nat, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on here, man. I jammed as much as I possibly could, you know, into story time and Nat's origin story and the pictures and the book. Anybody who's watching, go out and get the book. I mean, I know a lot of the folks that watch the channel think like me. They're basketball lifers, and I can't think of a better way. You know, normally I ask people when they tell me about a book, I'm like, can I get it on Audible?
Right.
It's not going to make
not
much
this
sense.
One. Yeah,
not this one, right? This is the book you put out. It's actually, you want the hard copy, get the real deal. Go get the nice, big, juicy, glorious book and throw it on your coffee table right in your den. Nat, man, it's a pleasure. If there's anything I can do to help you with any of your card stuff, if you want advice, you got my.
I appreciate that because it has become a lot more serious now. But I want to check out because I did see on that Fanatics buy now that I'm not familiar with, but a lot of those MJs are all my picks.
Oh my! We're gonna do something. I'll message you some pictures, and you just say yes, 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 and then I'll post some cool stuff on Instagram, and we'll try to sell we'll try to make your book the best-selling book of all time. I'm gonna do everything I can to help you. That's what we'll do.
Go. I appreciate it, and thank you for having me, Brian. And we'll keep in touch. I appreciate it.
Good luck this upcoming season, and keep your injury-free deal going. You're like Cal Ripken, so let's keep it going.
Let's go. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Nat.
You got it.
Appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for tuning in. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby, and peace. Man, that was great.